Hey, it's Erik Collier here with the Collier Group, and today I'm really excited because we're talking about one of my favorite laws, which is the law of cooperation. And that is, how do we market and advertise our listing in a very targeted approach to the one segment that represents an incredible area of opportunity within the brokerage community. And we're going to talk about the law of cooperation. We're also going to examine 4 different things today. We're going to examine the 3 types of buyers. We're going to also examine real-world examples. Real-world examples of a tactical, everyday marketing strategy that you can use to move the needle and produce great results and sell your home for a lot more money. Number 3, we're going to be talking about incentives. How can you offer incentives to capture attention and create buzz for your home? So we're going to show you a couple of things there. And then last but not least, we're going to dispel and bust a couple of myths. Some of the things that are floating out there and set the record straight on why a FSBO isn't and won't sell because of the one thing that the homeowner can't control. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I'm really excited because, again, this is one of my favorite laws. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about are the 3 types of buyers. There are 3 types. There are out-of-town buyers, there are in-town buyers, and then there are buyers that are working with a dedicated co-op or a buyer's agent, a buyer representative. Now, believe it or not, within the co-op channel, 71% of all of the homes sold each and every year are sold through a buyer's agent. So you can see that's a huge slice of the pie here. So now that you've done a good job setting the price, now that you have done some research on how to differentiate your home, and now that you've exposed your home, how can you expose your home to this huge swath of the market here? And if you can do it right, how you can sell your home for 3 to 5% more. So let me give you a real-world example of exactly how this happened. Just recently I listed a property. Now, the property that I listed, unfortunately, was in an area where it's saturated with other listings. It was a complete buyer's market. I think that there were maybe 7 to 10 months worth of inventory. The challenge was I had a client who was very motivated, priced his home extremely well, but still needed to get out of the area very quickly, and we had a certain amount of time to do that. So instead of just sitting back and waiting for things to happen, we really took this law to heart. And we saw that 71% of our likely sale is going to be through the cooperative channel. So what we did is we printed out a list of all of the realtors and all of the realty companies that sold the homes in the last 6 months. And we looked for the common thread. We looked for that one heavy hitter, that one real estate agent, or particularly that one real estate company that dominated the market. And we found that company. And they literally, out of maybe 10 transactions, as an example, they closed 6 of the deals in the last 6 months. So they had a huge footprint in that area. So my strategy was I was going to put together a packet of information about the house, and I was going to go cold call that office. And so I got in my car, I drove over there, I got out of the car, and I went to the office with my flyers and my business cards, and I shook hands with each and every single one of the agents that was in that office at that time, asking key critical questions like, who are you working with right now? Let me show you this home. Let me tell you about this home and help jog their memory a little bit. Well, I wasn't surprised because just a few days later, we had a huge spike in showings. And that was a really good thing. My client was really excited, and we knew that what we were doing was working. Okay, so here's another question. What happens when you get brokers? Let's just say I found 10 people that were interested, that had clients that were interested in that home. Well, if it's like a normal situation, most buyer's agents are going to wait for the buyer to call. Okay, they're going to send them a list of property, and then the buyer is going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Joe, I want to see this home over here at 123 Maple Street, and they'll set up an appointment. But that's a very passive approach. Our strategy was, how can we be more active? How can we have a more aggressive approach? So what we did is we took all of the agents in that office that were interested in that listing, that thought that they had clients, and we personally invited and set up an event at the house. And we did what's called a broker's open. And on that Tuesday, we had people come over. We had catered food. It was really upscale. It was very, very nice. And we had the agents come in and experience the house for themselves. And so then they could go back to their clients and tell them how wonderful the house was and get their clients excited. And it started creating a buzz, and it started to get agents to talk up our property, which was just great. And so then we were able to now take these 5 or 6 different agents that showed up to this event, and we were able to get them to bring in their clients. And so one of the things that we did after that is when we had 2 or 3 agents that seriously had clients that wanted to make an offer. And what we did was we went one step further. We set up another event. It was a process of deepening the relationship. Now remember, people do business with those that they know, they like, and they trust. So if we can do a good job building and bridging a relationship and bonding with that person that we're going to hopefully do a deal with, that's going to go a long way in convincing them to do business with us versus the guy down the street. And so one of the many things that you can do is as simple as inviting the agent to coffee, getting to know them on a personal level. It's only going to cost you $2 or $3 for the Frappuccino or whatever you're going to buy for them, but the experience and the potential is priceless. You can also invite them out for a happy hour as well. But the goal is to take someone that's interested and to soft sell them and to make sure that you continue to stay in front of them so their client will write an offer on your house versus the one down the street. And let me tell you, it absolutely works. Trust me. Now, if you're not willing to do this, because it is a lot of work, and if you're not a full-time agent or you just don't have the resources to do that, that's okay. A thing that you can do that works, not as well though, is you can offer incentives. Now, let me first say that there are certain states that you can and cannot offer incentives or inducements. The state of Missouri is one of them. Absolutely, 100, positively, not going to be able to offer incentives. No way, no how. So you don't even want to attempt that. But in the state of Kansas, state law says that you can offer inducements up to a certain percentage of the purchase price. So one of the things that we've done that has worked extraordinarily well is that we've been able to offer our people, our agents that we work with, and have them participate in what we call a Seller's Incentive Club. And the Seller's Incentive Club is basically a club where we produce a weekly list of all of our properties for sale. And we send those out to the agents that we work with. And we say, look, if you buy any of these properties on this list, then you're going to be automatically entered into a drawing to win either cash or a special incentive like an iPad or a vacation or maybe a Nebraska Furniture Mart gift card. They can either use that for themselves or they can use it as a housewarming present for their client. At any rate, that gives an unbelievably amount of goodwill and gets us a lot of exposure there as well. And so if you have the budget as a seller, you can definitely set some money aside and increase your visibility and create top-of-mind awareness by offering an incentive or an inducement. And then lastly today, I want to talk to you about a common myth. Now, if you're attempting to sell the home yourself, which is pretty common, for years and years and years, there have been industries that have made billions of dollars on unsuspecting homeowners that they're led to believe that you can somehow act as your own listing agent, you can cut out the middleman, and you can work this channel, the 71% of the agents, and offer an incentive, a 3% buyer agency fee, and you can be your own agent and somehow save money. Well, let me tell you that works about 2% of the time. So if you're motivated to sell and you've got to be somewhere, right, do you want to put all of your eggs in one basket on an approach that's only going to work 2% of the time? Probably not. Okay? And so let me tell you the real reason why buyer's agents, okay, don't want to sell for sale by owners. And they're not going to tell you this, but this is what is really going through their mind. Now think about the average buyer's agent. The average buyer agent, remember, only sells 3 homes a year. So their mindset is not of prosperity, it's of desperation. They're going to do whatever they can to make money because they don't have a lot coming in. And so that's the average buyer agent in this market. Now think about this for a minute. If you're out with a client and you're that buyer's agent and sitting next to you in the car while you're showing properties, you've got 33% of your yearly income sitting right next to you in the car. Are you going to risk and jeopardize a big chunk of your yearly salary by taking them into an unsecured property where the chances of something happening, the chances of a lawsuit or the chances of the deal falling through go up astronomically. Well, any smart person is going to say, I'm not going to risk that. What most buyer's agents are going to want to do, though, because they have access to thousands of other properties that are listed for sale, is they're going to convince their clients to go buy something, and they're going to only show the properties where there's a listing agent involved. Why? Because if the client likes the property, then the agent knows that they're going to get a better chance, they have a better chance of getting paid. Because they can work with another professional, and they can split the labor and divide the labor, and the chances of something going wrong goes down significantly. And that's going to protect and hedge their risk, so they get paid, and that's their number one objective. The other thing that I have to say about that is that if the buyer's agent has to work with a homeowner, the homeowner isn't a professional. They don't understand contracts, they don't understand the 115 different variables involved. So the buyer's agent actually has to end up doing both sides of the transaction anyway. So now they're doing double the amount of work for half the pay. That's the real reason why, if you decide to sell your home by yourself and market it yourself, and even go one step further and get on MLS, and even if you go one step further than that and offer a buyer agency agreement, the chances of you actually selling that house are going to be very, very low. And it's the one thing that you can't do about it that's the real reason, which is the buyer's agents. You're doing everything right, but the buyer's agents just don't want to take that risk. So anyway, thanks for listening and taking the time to watch this video on law number 4, the law of cooperation. Next week, we're getting close to the end. We're going to be talking about law number 5, which is one of my favorites, the law of buyer acquisition. Do you have a proven, repeatable, predictable way to take a suspect, convert them into a prospect, convert them into an offer and a closed deal? Do you have a sales strategy? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. And even if you've never sold a home before, even if you have virtually no sales skills, in about 10 minutes you're going to quickly understand what pros use, like myself, to get people to the negotiating table. And we're going to learn about that next week. I will see you in the next video.